Hello, my darlings, and welcome to season 3, episode 11 of the Prosperous Yogini podcast. And this episode, fully intended to be with you end of November. I know it's going to be winging its way to you early December. Apologies, it's just that crazy busy time of year in all areas of your life, right? That has just got in the way of recording my second podcast episode in November. But what do they say? Good things come to those who wait, eh? Okay, so today's title is When to Leap. And I just shifted that actually. It was going to be Ready to Leap. What I want to talk about today is how do we make those, I'm going to say big changes, but they can be big, subtle changes. How do we shift our reality? How do we go from where we are now to where we would like to be? Now, obviously, Prosperous Yogini, the focus is business. But honestly, guys, we separate business and life and personal, personal growth. They are not separated. And I want to start by sharing my story in terms of what I am currently doing to shift a reality in an area of my life, which I have already mentioned in the last episode. And I know it hit a chord and resonated with so many of you. So I want to go a bit deeper into that. And plus, it's just a brilliant example of this. Definition of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if we want to shift and change our reality, if we want to take a leap into a new version of ourselves, right? If we just carry on as we are, then nothing is going to change. And we can objectively know that, but change is not easy. Our safe space can be a space of discomfort, and we're used to it. We've told ourselves some stories that make us feel safe and keep us there. So back in the summer of 2024, I started to experience a frozen shoulder. And I will say, like, the first time I experienced it, it lasted a week or two. I couldn't put a jumper on over my head. I had that normal pain at night. It was keeping me awake. And then I couldn't do the thing I love most in the world, which is surfing. But it cleared up relatively quickly. And I was like, oh, here you go, gone. And then between the summer of 2024 and the summer of 2025, so we're talking 12 months, guys, I was stuck in a cycle of a flare up, my shoulder hurting, not being able to lift it above my head, not being able to do the things I love, not being able to take my jumpers off, all of that stuff, right? Flare up for a day or two and then go away again. And every time it went away, I would tell myself, oh, that's not going to happen again. Healed. Right. And then I hit like August 2025, having told myself, the summer's here, 2025, I'll be more active, surfing more, swimming more, that will help heal my shoulder. It just made everything worse. And I hit a point at the end of August where, like, the pain of staying where I was greater than taking action, like literally and figuratively. It was to the point where I, was in constant pain with my shoulder, struggling to sleep at night, and not able to do the things that I love. And I feel like that shoulder was like the final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, in the sense that I am 47, guys, right? I am 100% peri-menopausal. I'm 100% in what feels like the depths of it right now. And if you're like 51, 52, 53, and you're like, Amy, you've only just begun, can I just say ignorance is bliss? Let me just claim that this is the depths right now. Okay. So alongside the shoulder issue that I'd rumbled on for over 12 months, I would say for the last 5 years, I've just steadily been gaining weight, and particularly in the last 2 years, to the point where I'm a good 3.5, 4 stone over what is a healthy weight for me. I'm not about, being skinny or thin or anything like that. I've always been a curvy girl and at peace with that. In fact, if I could go back and tell my 28, 29, 30-year-old self something, I would tell her to stop calling yourself fat. you're amazing. Right, and this isn't about going back to that body or anything like that, but it is that feeling that this is not my body. And the what, not just that, not aside from like the health implications, which I'm very aware of in terms of weight gain, it's more that the things that I love doing, like surfing, are becoming harder, and it doesn't feel like my body anymore. So, I was like, okay, I want to change this. And like, genuinely, guys, like, hands on heart, I don't eat badly. I'm knowledgeable, very knowledgeable in terms of the human body. Rehab for frozen shoulder, exercises for shoulder strength. Do I know those? Yes. Have I shown these to other people? Hell yes. Am I interested in nutrition and the impact of what we put into our body, the effect it has on our whole system? Yes. I right? But to change my reality, I also knew I couldn't do it alone. And the first thing I needed actually was somebody else to prove it was possible. So there's this lady I've known for like many years, like a friend, and I bumped into her in the summer, and she was looking so well. She was looking so fit, so healthy, and she'd lost 4 stone, but more than the weight gain, she was just looking so strong and fit. And I was like, you look amazing. What have you been doing? And long story short, she signed up to work with the PT that I'm now working with. And of course, I came at her with I eat really healthily. It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm just gaining weight, not losing weight. And she turned around to me and she said, you probably are eating more than you need to and more than you realize. And I was like, whoa, I haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for hitting me with that one. She couldn't have been any more right. And I needed to hear that to shift my mindset, my reality, my beliefs, the stories that I was telling myself. And I also needed to see that it was possible. She had led the way for me. And, I obviously was in that place where I was really ready for change, because often when we can see people who have done stuff, whether it is their weight loss fitness goals or whether it's in their business, done something that we want, and we feel like we've tried everything and it's really hard for us, we can often be triggered by their success, right? And I want you to pay attention to that. I pay attention to that a lot. Okay. I am still to this day sometimes triggered by perceived other people's successes. But actually, that trigger is a very powerful tool for me to go, why am I triggered by that? Why can I not be happy for her? Why can I not be in a place of that? It's actually really inspirational. She's proving it's possible. She's leading the way for me. How did you do it? How did you shift your reality, and how did you take that leap? And the bottom line was, she hired herself a coach. We cannot shift our reality and change deep-seated conditioning, programming and beliefs by ourselves. And I don't want this whole podcast to be me telling you you've got to hire me in 2026. But I literally have, like, 2026 is going to look a bit different in terms of my business, because I am going to be asking, first of all, for longer term commitments from people that want to work with me. And I'm going to be opening the door a little bit less to opportunities to come and work with me, because I just know that the changes that you want to call in your business, right, and in your life, right, don't come from sitting in the weight room telling me for next time, and I've got some great, and I'm still going to run these courses. I've got some great 3 and 4 week courses that do make a shift, do make a change. But the truth is, the real transformation comes when people hang out with me for 12 months, sometimes even longer. And I can't actually sit back and like not just say that anymore. So, but this doesn't mean you have to work with me, and this doesn't mean, like, and I don't mean this to sound like you're not ready, like, but the question is when to leap is a really important question, because the other truth alongside, if you want to call in a shift, a radical shift in your reality, in your circumstances, you need to get some help. you need to get some accountability, you need to get some support. Alongside that, you have got to be in the right place for this. I suffered with my frozen shoulder for 12 months. I steadily gained weight for 5 years, and to be honest, last 2 years were probably the significant ones. And it wasn't until September this year that I was ready to leap. And actually, because I knew this leap was coming, there's been certain things in my business and what I say yes to and what I say no to, both in my business and my life. I've made conscious decisions, right, to cut back on certain things because I want to focus on my health goals. And you've got to choose your fighter, right? You can't be firefighting in all areas of your life, and you certainly don't need to be. So what is your focus, first of all, and are you ready to make those shifts? Because the other truth is that growth, expansion, and change is not this continual straight line. What does nature tell us, guys? Let's just take a moment to look to the seasons. In the UK, we have this temperate climate, we have autumn, we have winter, where everything cuts back, everything dies away, animals hibernate, there is rest, right? And then the leap, nature is ready to leap into spring and into summer, and the leap has come from waiting in the winter months. So I don't want us to think that we need to be on a continual journey of change, shift, and expansion, that it is always about the next step, because it might be right now that you're like, there is stuff going on for me that this is not my focus. I'm not ready to leap in this area of my life. But in many cases, it might be, I am absolutely desperate to call in that change. Let me give you some examples. Perhaps you are employed, and whether you love your job or not, it is, or whether you don't want to do your job or not anymore, right? It's paying your bills, but there is something in your heart that is calling you to do something else, to shift, to change, to do something new. That thing that you keep coming back to, your purpose, as I like to call it, the whisper that becomes a roar. Perhaps you're part-time employed, part-time self-employed, and you want to go full-time in your self-employed business. So you need to scale and grow your income. Or perhaps you are like me, full-time self-employed, and you want to earn more money, or you don't want to earn any more money. You're happy with the income turnover of your business, but you're like, actually, the way I'm working right now isn't sustainable. All of these things require a shift in our circumstances, a leap, a shift in our reality. And I just want you to know, like, the chances of you taking a change in any of those circumstances alone is really slim. And I know the podcast helps. I know there's so much free information out there that helps. But the best thing you can do is do what I do with like my weight loss goals, and I've done it time and time again with my business, is hire yourself a coach, one that you really energetically resonate with. Just that one voice, one bit of guidance, and hire yourself a coach and stick with them for the long game. This isn't an overnight success story. And this, when I mean long game, 6 months, 12 months plus, right? Because the change that you want doesn't come overnight. And because I've experienced this time and time again in my business, I think it has really helped when I've come to my fitness and weight loss goals, that I knew this was a long game thing. I was like, I'm going to give myself 12, that in terms of like calling in the reality, where if you're watching on YouTube, I close my eyes right now, I have a very clear image of like Amy, it's not even a return, like, the shedding of what is no longer her. I have a very clear image of what that looks like. And I was like, you know what, this is not going to happen by Christmas. This is a 12 to 18 month journey. This is not going to be a straight line. There are going to be weeks where I don't lose weight, weeks where I actually gain weight, weeks where I feel like I'm physically exhausted, and the last thing I want to do is lift heavier weights, like all of this stuff. And this is true of our business. Definition of madness is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So what do I mean by that leap? I literally mean a shift in your reality, a shift in your circumstances, a change in identity. Great example for me is like, I was full-time secondary school teacher for 12 years. And when I left that job, that was such an identity shift. I actually struggled with that identity shift myself. But what do you do? What do you do for your living, Amy? And I used to be a school teacher, but now I'm, full-time self-employed yoga teacher. Really, really quick. And then I experienced it again when I started to feel that calling, that desire to become more than just a yoga teacher, a yoga trainer, and someone who supports yoga teacher. I knew my mission was bigger. And even to this day, when people say, what is it you do? Business strategist and mentor for female founders. That is one business. And I also have my yoga teacher training business. Like, it took me a long time to step into that role of business strategist, business mentor for female founders, and just say it. In fact, it wasn't that long ago, I think February 2025, that I was at like a networking event, and someone asked what I did, and I went, well, I sort of do business coaching. I mean, can you imagine it? Because shifting our reality requires a different approach. So you will, if you've been a listener here for a long time, you will know what I did to shift my reality from being a yoga teacher and trainer, Amy Yoga. I mean, like, literally, I've had the domain name Amy Yoga from 2009. I might as well have got that. My name changed by default, guys, to Amy Yoga. And when I was having those feelings back in 2022 and 2023, that I was like, I don't want to not do Amy Yoga, but I don't want to just be Amy Yoga. And I am being so called with my years of experience and knowledge. Like, I can help all women do what lights them up and make money. I want to cast my net wider. And it felt like a dirty secret, right? It literally did. I felt guilty. I was like, what's wrong with me? Yeah. And then the pain of staying where you are becomes greater than taking action. And I had loitered, that's a great word, loitered around in the world of Lucy Sheridan for a while. I'd done lots of her online courses, her Good to Grow. And at the end of 2023, I signed up for her Good to Grow course again, paid in full so I could have a one-to-one with her and go and see her in her house. And I got on this one-to-one call with her. And basically said, Lucy, I've got this secret that actually nobody knows. I don't want to just be Amy Yoga anymore. I want to be a business strategist and mentor. I want to come out and say this, but I don't want people to think that I don't want to be any Amy Yoga anymore. And I don't want people to think I'm crazy. And Lucy was brilliant. And she's like, well, I will hold this secret. And she was like, oh, by the way, I'm running a mastermind next year, new era. You couldn't have made this shit up, right? New era. Would you like to join? And I was like, yeah, I'm in. I need that. This is my new era. Great name, Lucy. I'm in. And she sent me the details, and it was a £10,000 investment. Now, listen, guys, would I make that level of investment again? Hell yes. Did I have the money for that investment? No. I had the first down payment, and I to the point when I took my husband aside and I was like, look, I'm going to do something pretty crazy, a really big investment. I actually can't fully tell you about it because I think you'll fall off your chair and think I've gone mad. These are normally signs, guys, right, that you are ready to leap, and now is the time. The pain of staying where I was so much greater than taking action, and I knew I couldn't do it alone. I knew and trusted Lucy to guide me, and actually parking that knowledge of Lucy aside, like just a simple act of making the biggest business investment to date, was a massive leap of faith. And I wouldn't, if I wasn't ready, I wouldn't have done it. And I had complete unshakable faith that I was going to make that money and make all the repayments. I had moments of like, what the fuck am I doing? I absolutely did. And like so often it's really helped me actually in my role as working one-to-one and like in my mastermind, because obviously it was a 6-7 month program and so much shifted for me in the time. But obviously I got to the end and I was like, oh, was I expecting more? And what I've realized is the energy of that experience has continued to rumble on, that it gave me the stepping stone to leap. It gave me the support. It gave me the inspiration. It proved to me that I could do these crazy things, make the money and make the shifts and make the changes, and I could take action. Obviously in that time frame, I got an awful lot done, but there was the energy of it rumbled on. And back in September? Back in September this year. So one of the most magical things of that mastermind, apart from starting my new business and coming out as Amy Jo's mentor, business strategist, and I can't even say it, business strategist and mentor for female founders, as well as coming out and having this beautiful new website that this year I invested $5,000 in setting up. Alongside all of that, I met some amazing women that I'm still in contact with today. And this September, most of us gathered in Birmingham. I did 24 hours in Birmingham, and most of us gathered to meet. And it was 18 months on, so coming up for 2 years after we first met. And what resonated most for me when we sat around and talked about where we all were when we first knew each other, what has happened to us in this period of time, where we are all now, and what we hope to do. I was like, we haven't just leaped once, we have continued to leap. We have had moments when we have had to rest from the leap, where leaping was not appropriate for us because our energy was being directed elsewhere. But we took that big leap, and then we took that leap again, and we took that leap again, and our realities, our experiences are completely shifted. And the biggest shift is that we know, despite the highs and the lows, that the power to call in the change, the power to leap and shift our reality belongs to us. And that the support that we give each other and the support that we get when we pay to work with someone is an absolute non-negotiable for when we want to shift our reality. So this isn't me saying, if you're ready to work with me, work with me. And if you're not, you're not. But this is definitely me saying, if you've hit that point where you're like, it's funny enough, it can be a point where I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up on my dreams. And like, you know what? I have those moments. I'm going to give up on my dreams. And then I'm like, but I can't, I can't give up on my dreams. There's too much at stake. Like, more time, money, and joy in my hands, more time, money, and joy in your hands is absolutely what the world needs right now. Like, this is our mission, guys. This is our mission. I do not pretend it is easy. I do not pretend that shedding everything that no longer serves you, the identities, the personas that we may, the masks that we may have gathered over the years to fit in, to people please, or just to simply, they were right for us in that moment of time and now we've moved on, to shed those masks and identities. It is big work, guys, and I'm not pretending it's easy. But definition of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And if you are feeling that you're ready to leap, and you're ready to leap and shift in your business, and you're ready to take that action that is going to feel scary and exciting at the same time, because staying where you are right now is a safe place for your nervous system, and it might be uncomfortable. My frozen shoulder was damn uncomfortable for 12 months. I cannot tell you how much I just put up with tape, ibuprofen, hot water bottles, and my red light machine, right? I put up with that, you know, for 12 months before I was willing to take action, and uncomfortable action. I don't like lifting weights. I'm learning to like it because I'm loving the results. I'm not a huge fan of going to the gym. I found a gym with the best hot tub in the whole of the world. So I motivate myself for going to the gym by saying, at the end of this gym session, I can sit in the hot tub. Love the hot tub, right? None of this is comfortable for me. None of this is comfortable for me. Talking to you guys about the fact about my weight gain and about my desires to lose weight, it's not easy. Talking to you guys about my desire to grow my business, to scale my business. I definitely want to scale my business. I definitely want to come up with a more scalable model. I definitely want to create reoccurring revenue. I definitely want to take, and I'm not a huge fan of like these arbitrary six figures, multi six figures, but I definitely know that more money in my hands is a good thing, and I would absolutely love to scale my new business to six and multi six figures, and automate it as much as humanly possible. Like, these are the things that I definitely know to be true. Saying them out loud feels uncomfortable because actually I've had a lot of success in my new business and I could potter along as I am now, but I'm ready to leap again. Are you ready to leap, my darling? I've leaped so many fucking times that, if you're ready to leap, I can definitely sit by your side in the good and the bad and the ugly. I'll talk to my one-to-one and mastermind clients about this, that, I love it when sales are rolling in and things are going great. I love it, right? I love it when we're high vibing, but I almost come alive when we're in the trenches, when those moments of change are all coming to the surface. Like, this is where I'm like, buckle up. This is a good sign. Let's ride this wave out together, because actually riding the wave alone would be impossible. You would retreat back to shore. And that is why I see, in terms of my mastermind and one-to-one clients, I've had a wonderful month, right? In terms of my business, and both my one-to-one clients and my existing one-to-one clients and my mastermind clients, so many of them are re-signing for another 4 months, re-signing for another 6 months, because they've seen what happens when you leap with support. They've seen the unquestionable return on their investment, to the point where it's like, paying to work with Amy is just an absolute non-negotiable. I can't do my business without it. So here are a few invitations for you, my darling. So my mastermind, and I'm doing things slightly different in 2026 for several reasons, but one of them is I just know that how comfortable the weight room is, and I have, and I get it, guys, and I want you to, today's message is leap when ready, rest when necessary, because if you don't rest, then you won't be able to leap. We cannot leap all the time, okay? And that's an absolute truth. We cannot leap all the time. I absolutely loved my mastermind experience in 2024. I definitely knew 2025 was like, just need a break from that type of investment. I'm going to invest in other things. I'm going to leap in other ways. So my big investment this year has definitely been my new website. And alongside we're still continuing to work with a coach, but in a sort of like a more flexible, freer manner. I've been working with a coach called Taylor Lee, and in her Telegram group, which has been amazing, but it hasn't required me to hop on trains and planes and be on lots of calls. And that's exactly what I've needed this year. But one of the things that I see time and time again is people expressing an interest, right, in working with me. And I chat to them, and like, there's this connection, and I absolutely can see how I can help them, like non-negotiable can help them. And then I get the, thank you, Amy, I am really interested, but right, I've just got this and I've just got that, and just need to wait a little bit longer. And I'm like, genuinely, it might be this and that, and you're not to take that leap right now is not the right time. It would be too much stress. It would de-stress, not you stressing your nervous system, right? But so often it's like, my darling, these things always exist. There's always something, there's always an excuse. Let's go back to my weight loss. I eat really healthily. I've tried everything. I'm really active and I can't lose weight, right? I was feeding myself a lie, right? Anyway, and I'm 2026 going to be opening the doors to work with me in a long-term container less. So let me start with the mastermind, my darling. My Your Purpose Mastermind. I just will go as far to say this is absolutely the best thing I do. My mastermind is the best way to work with me one-to-one. It's a 6-month mastermind. We're starting mid-January into mid-July, so first half of 2026. You will have me as your one-to-one mentor stroke coach. With monthly one-to-ones, we often do those in person. I love hopping on a train to meet my clients. You check me out on social media. I'm always on the train. It's my signature reel. You have me on WhatsApp for support Monday to Friday. We have monthly group calls. We have 2 in that period of 6 months, 2 in-person business retreat days, and my God, do I do them in style. February, we're heading to the Headland Hotel in Newquay. Beautiful day there, ending in the Aqua Club. We work with our human design coach, Paul Finney. You have a human design reading, which I then work with Paul to really fully understand your human design, and that guides our whole 6 months together. Like, it is a seriously good mastermind, and it's the best way to work with me one-to-one, and I only take up to 8 women. It's a very small group, and the doors to that are open from the 2nd of December with an early bird price until the 9th of January. And now, as I'm talking to you guys now, there are 4 places left for that. So the link for that will be in the show notes. And if you listen to this and you click on the link and think that might be me, the best thing to do is drop me a WhatsApp. Let's chat. Let's feel like dating. Well, let's chat. Right. Then I have, since June this year, I want to say faffing around. It's a good word. I've been faffing around. It's a little bit more serious than faffing, but I've been faffing around in Telegram. Having had my own experience of being coached by someone in Telegram, I was like, God, like, this is me. Like, you know, talk shit for Britain. Audio coaching, flexible. This is what I want, and this is what, like, you know, in terms of my personal circumstances, this is what I need as well. And if you're like, is this all about your weight loss, Amy? No, I have also a little girl who is 10, going to be 11 in January, although no official diagnosis. I would say neurodivergent on certain levels, is really struggling with attending school. I know this is a common experience of so many parents. So, like, huge solidarity, guys. And next year, 2026, she'll be going from year 6 into year 7 into secondary school. And yeah, I just need to create some space, guys, for the energy of that. And there's just no other way to put it. The energy of that, the energy being 47. So I have been faffing around in Telegram, creating a way of supporting people with audio trainings, weekly audio trainings, weekly Q&A, because one of the things that's really important to me is that I know my clients and that I'm able to personally support them, whether that's coming to work with me closely one-to-one or in a more group program such as I've been developing in Telegram. If you hear this podcast episode again between the 2nd of December and the is it going to be I think the 12th of December, there will be an insane deal to come and work with me for the whole of 2026 within my Telegram group, which is these monthly focus trainings, weekly audio extra training, weekly Q&As. I do masterclasses. Sometimes they're free, sometimes they're paid. They're like every other month. You're going to have access to those masterclasses. You're going to have access to any digital course that I create in the year. And I'm coming at you at an insane price. And then next year into 2026, I will be developing this further. And, you know, it will cost more. And weirdly, you know, one of the things I've toyed with this offer is it absolutely could be a membership model that you could cancel anytime. And I was like, you know, that's possibly an easier sell, because if someone comes in and it's not right for them, they can cancel. And I was like, but doesn't work like that, because if you membership model, you do a month, you think, oh, I've not used that, I'm going to cancel it. You commit to 12 months, and this is my 2026 vibe. You commit to long-term transformation, commit persistent, consistent action in the direction of your dreams. You will get the results that you want. So I know this. I have just seen it in my own business, and I've seen it time and time and time in my clients' business, right? Then I literally cannot do an offer that doesn't require this. So it is going to be a 12-month commitment. And the other thing I should also say, guys, about my mastermind is this year I opened the doors to it in January and July. Next year I've made a decision that you're only going to be able to come in at the start of 2026 in January. So for my people that tell me, I love the look of your mastermind, I really want to be involved in it next time, that's fine, my darling. Next time is 2027. And I, again, cannot guarantee that the price is going to look like it is right now. There is another undertone there. In terms of like, I'm always telling you guys, review your prices. Are you undercharging and over delivering? And can I be honest? Yes, I am. And it's so common for us to not practice what we preach, but I want to practice what I preach. And then I do have one spot for a 6-month one-to-one client. So I am asking you guys to commit. And then if I take my gaze over to the yoga business, if you're like, what has shifted there? I've made no big announcement on this, and I will probably mention it on social media. I obviously let go of the Prosperous Yogini mentorship program at the end of 2024. And then I have now decided to no longer offer my foundation teacher training course. Is this a never again decision? I don't know, but that was a big time commitment. And then in terms of like weekends, it would, and just again, teenage children, peri-menopausal ways of living. I need my weekends now more than ever. So I've let that course go. And then definitely in terms of my focus there, predominantly yin and restorative yoga, because it's kind of like, although I've got these two businesses, it's me at the center of it. Nervous system regulation, I think, is everything for us. If we want to take this leap, when to leap, we need to be in a place where our nervous system can actually, even though it'll be a challenge, it'll be useful stress, not de-stress, for us to take that leap. When we're taking these leaps, when we're taking these big shifts, when we're holding space for people who are taking these leaps and big shifts, and what comes up with that, then we need to be as regulated as possible. And yin and restorative yoga and breath work are, I think, essential for all of us to know and to be able to integrate into our own personal practices and teach. And there's so much out there now, and it's great, so many coaches talking about nervous system regulation. Everywhere you look, there's a breath coach popping up. Great. And I'm pleased to see this, guys, but I'm also like, I have 17 plus years experience as a yoga teacher, and this is the stuff that I really know, and this is the stuff that I need to put out there because it will support everyone in their business. So you're going to see a shift into Amy Yoga, offering yin and restorative, and again pulling right back on in-person courses. I have my restorative training course at C Space in February, 5 places for that. I have my yin 4-day yin course at the Zen Den in June, 8 places for that. And then the autumn, I'm again like open to ideas in there, but I'm toying with combining yin and restorative and breath work together into 100-hour nervous system regulation training, something along those lines. That is like, that's a seed of an idea at the moment, but these are the shifts I'm making into 2026. So the bottom line is, guys, if you've had this podcast episode today and you're like, I need Amy in my pocket, I need Amy in my life, right? I'm just going to wait until oh, stop fucking waiting, and you're not going to have the opportunity to come in all the time. So the mastermind, literally January next year, is the only time you can work with me in the context of my mastermind until 2027, right? Then with my 12-month audio magic coaching program, I quite decided the name yet, that's coming. I'm doing my podcast episode first because it's late. The doors to that will reopen again at certain points in 2026. It will be more expensive, and it's not going to open loads, guys. Like, I'm here for the people who are ready to leap and make that long-term commitment. And if you're not ready to leap, it's not that I'm not here for you, and it's not that you're bad, because I really want to end today's podcast on this message that we need to break cycles of burnout, overwhelm, and frazzled nervous systems. And if today you've listened to this and gone, you know what, the best thing I can do is rest, retreat, take up Amy's offer of restorative yoga, learn the practice of restorative yoga, integrate restorative yoga into my life. I'd love to do your mastermind in 2027. I'm going to spend 2026 learning to regulate myself, right? You know what? That's right for you. That's right for you. But know that you will have a whole load of bullshit excuses as to why you can't leave, why you need to wait, why it's not going to work for you. And in the end, guys, the pain of staying where you are gets greater than taking action. So it's the question is, how long are you willing to stay in the discomfort of not taking that leap? And like, I really hope that my story of both shifting my identity, my business, and now my weight loss fitness goals, I really hope that that lets you know that I'm human too, and I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait many months, years, before I'm willing to shift. So we will leap when we're ready. And honestly, my darling, when you are ready to take that leap, I am all in supporting you. All right, I will see you all next episode.